did you watch Raw?
Yes, I did.
All right. So Raw has stunk lately, right? But this show was interesting because the Bloodline showed up and just started causing problems, which is like okay, so we had a print throughout the show, and you had the big star Roman on the show, uh, so they showed
Very,
him
very NWO-ish.
yeah. Yeah, very NWO-ish, the type of show it was, absolutely. So Heyman introduced himself, know that he works for Roman Reigns, and the camera pulled back and showed that Reigns was seated in a chair beside Heyman. This is a very interesting way to start the show. Reigns said Raw is the home of Kevin Owens, and Reigns said Owens continues to try to leave Raw, and he's not by himself because he has John Cena. Reigns said Owens would need the entire Raw locker room to have his back because Owens has interfered in his business too much. And Reigns said the bloodline will make Owens' life a miserable hell until he and everyone else in the locker room acknowledges the bloodline. Then they go straight to backstage, and the Usos were shown playing to a backstage camera while Solo held a wrestler that Sami Zayn was punching. And Sikoa picked Mustafa Ali up off the ground and spiked him. So I was like, okay, they showed up. Reigns cuts a promo basically saying we're here to wreck y'all, and then they show them backstage are beating people up already. So that was a good. I thought this was a good open.
Yeah, it was.
You know? Yeah. So I have Hulu, and I got that opening segment, but I did not get this. The Street Profits against with Akira Tozawa against Finn Balor and Damon Priest, and I guess Tozawa he's got that red cup, right? And they did some silly finish where he throws the cup at Ripley, and Ripley ducks, and Dom gets hit with the liquid, and this distracted Finn Balor, and Ford rolled him up for the pin.
Right. The finish was very cheesy and hokey. The match was really, really good. Tozawa came out with the Street Profits, and of course, Dominic and Ripley came out with Priest and Balor. This was a really, really good match. And then at the end, the cheesy finish you just said, which kind of goes with Tozawa because he's a comedy character.
Right. So after the match, uh, Tozawa ran the ropes for a dive, but Balor tripped Ford and Dawkins entered the ring and performed flip dives onto Balor and Priest. And then the ring, Tozawa avoided charging Ripley, who crashed in the corner, and Tozawa knocked Dom off the apron. And Tozawa went for a top rope senton that Ripley avoided, and Ripley performed the riptide and pinned Tozawa. So wait, so
Well, what
they had a
happened was
match?
is okay, you obviously didn't
Oh
see it
no,
on TV.
I missed the wrong. Okay, so I thought
Okay,
this was
so
that.
when we came
I,
back from the break, the Profits are
Right.
giving
Let me
Tozawa.
read this. I read the wrong thing. Okay.
Okay.
After that match, I was ahead here. Ripley left the ring and approached Tozawa was on the stage area that set up for the Christmas. Ripley jawed at Tozawa and then punched him. Tozawa fell to the ground and Ripley challenged Tozawa to fight her.
Yeah,
Then
but
Ripley turned
before
to the
that,
ring.
the Street Profits were giving him a pep talk and convinced him to go back in.
Oh, okay. So they
Yeah,
convinced him to go fight Rhea Ripley.
right,
Okay, so they have a match, and basically Rhea Ripley beats Tozawa.
right.
So all right.
So the minute he came in, he got hit with a kick from Ripley. Then Ripley would dare him to punch her in the face, but he wouldn't. Uh, I can't wait till somebody does because that's going to be a huge pop. And then she beat him pretty quick.
Right. So the video package aired of Seth and Bobby. Then Adam Pierce was shown leaving Paul Heyman a voicemail in which he urged him to call him. And Pierce ended the call and was asked by Kathy Kelly about the situation with Lashley. And Pierce said they spoke in private at WWE headquarters. And Pierce said it's not a matter of if, but rather a matter of when Lashley returns to work. And MVP approached Pierce and asked for a word. Pierce was receptive, but a referee showed up and told Pierce he needed Pierce to come with him because something happened. There's like the whole theme is this is like chaos going on tonight. So
Right,
and Adam Pierce has a lot of problems he's got to deal
right.
with. So the OC makes their entrance with Mia Yim, and they go backstage again. And Kathy Kelly is there with Adam Pierce, and Shane Helms is hogging for the camera. Trying to glory hound the situation there. And the referees were helping Cedric Alexander and Dolph Ziggler to their feet after they were beaten up by the Bloodline. So now we come to it's Alpha Academy against Luke Gallows and Anderson. Otis got a good pop because they were in Iowa and he's from Iowa. So it's kind of weird. I thought they should have put him over. But they beat him. The OC wins the match. And after the match, OC was standing in the ring and mugging for the cameras. They were attacked from behind by the Bloodline. Usos and Zayn. And the Usos put Gallows down. And then Adam Pierce led a group of security guards to them. And the Usos and Zayn were still in the ring with the microphones while Pierce and security remained on the floor. And Zayn said what they did was a small taste of what he and Reigns would do when they faced Cena and Owens. And Zayn told Pierce they were going to leave anyway. And the Usos and Zayn left the ring and security let them walk past him and then followed toward the stage. But then suddenly AJ Styles came out of nowhere I like how they do those camera shots because, like, you kind of knew something was going to happen because they were staying on the shot for so long, and like AJ flying in the screen was like pretty cool. And they brawl, and then Pierce makes a match between them and between AJ and Zayn.
Yeah. Let me just say that OC, who are my boys, but they feel very stale, much like Loomis. And so I'm not really interested in this. We haven't seen Almost in a while, which is kind of weird because they feature him all the time, though MVP did show up and do a backstage promo thing. Anyways, Anderson's very underrated, and we saw that in AEW, and now we saw it in this match. Like him and Gable really did some cool, but the OC feels really stale.
Um, So backstage, we go to Alexa Bliss and Bianca Blair's doing a sit down. And Bliss said Bray Wyatt abducted her and turned her into a dark and evil version of herself and then left her, which caused abandonment issues. And Bliss said she went to therapy and they turned her into a shell of her person because she didn't recognize and still trying to work through. And she said their friendship with Belair and Oscar made her stronger. Belair said she sympathized with everything Bliss has been through, but asked if Bliss really expects her to believe she didn't know what happened last week. Bliss said Wyatt isn't a threat to Belair, she's a threat to her. Bliss said she was winning championships before Belair came into WWE and said she can do it again. Come on, do it then, Belair said. And Sexton wrapped up the interview and the Wyatt symbol flashed on the television behind them. And when they stood up, Bliss grabbed a flower vase and slammed it over Belair's head and knocked her out and just walked off. I don't know. I thought that was a good finish of the segment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good sit down and good storyline progression. I liked it.
Yeah. I didn't see this. Dexter Loomis against The Miz in a ladder match for the bags of cash. And I guess
I wish you would have seen.
Okay, I guess so. Loomis went up to get the cash, but Bronson Reed came back and attacked him, and then Miz ran away with the money. So this is not making it cool.
Okay, well this didn't have any like you could tell they did nothing dangerous, no dangerous ladder. They took the they were very careful with the ladders. It was very slow paced, kind of dull. Just like you said, just to look like when Loomis would win, Bronson Reed came out of nowhere to yank him off the ladder and beat him down. He's huge, this guy.
Yeah.
So now he's like a Mrs. Payroll. Gargano was out there. People didn't give a for as much time as they've invested in this match. The match was not over. There was one spot that was really funny. Miz took a table from underneath the ring and everybody popped and he put it back in. This was way, way, way too long. I'm not
18 minutes.
Bro, I'm not invested in them anymore. They really milked this too much and now they lost everybody. The crowd was very quiet for them. They need to go in another direction. All three of them, Gargano, Miz, and Loomis. They lost me a long time ago. This was not good and way too long.
So backstage, it showed Seth Rollins trying on his new Iowa shirt. So now we go to Sami Zayn and AJ. This is you knew what was going to happen here. So basically, they're having the match. Solo comes down to the ring. The referee's distracted. Solo hits Styles with a spike, and then Zayn pins him. You kind of knew. You kind of knew that was going to happen. And Adam Pearce comes out and he started yelling at Sikoa afterwards. I don't know. I thought this was an obvious. Obviously, there's going to be a thing where the way that the night was being written is that they were going to come in 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 here on AJ.
Bro, Styles hit a moonsault DDT from the apron to the floor. That was great. This was a good match, but again, distraction finish with Solo, and I hate those. They're overdone.
Yeah. So next is Seth Rollins comes out. And basically, Graves announced Austin. I like how they're building these matches up. They're giving you the date when they're going to wrestle, and like they're making it a big deal. So on January 2nd of Raw, Austin Theory is going to wrestle Seth for the U.S. Okay. So Rollins comes out and said the Bloodline was in the house. They were jumping everybody except him. And Rollins said he's not saying they were scared, but he had a message for them to deliver to the tribal chief. Roman, money don't belong to you, Rollins said before saying it belongs to him. So Theory comes out and joins Rollins in the ring, and Theory said nothing belongs to Rollins. He recalled Rollins stating the U.S. title is the title of Raw. Theory said it can mean only one thing, that the champ is here. And Theory said his era is forever, and this is just beginning. Theory said that Rollins will pass the torch on whether he likes it or not. Theory said if Rollins doesn't pass it to him, he'll take it from his cold, legendary fingers. Well, Merry Christmas to you, kid, Rollins said. Rollins warned Theory to keep his cool, or he'd end up like Bobby Lashley. And Theory said Rollins has gotten lucky throughout his entire career. Rollins questioned why Theory is so angry when he has so many things going for him. Rollins said Theory will never be him. And Theory questioned how many times Rollins has fumbled the ball just like the Bears. He's a big Bears fan, by the way, Seth
Yeah,
Rollins.
that did not get a pop, by the way.
Yeah. Theory spoke about Rollins going to the mountaintop and said that once he falls off the peak, he will go home and come to the realization that he's the third most successful member of the Shield. Rollins said Theory has it wrong. He is the damn mountaintop, and Rollins dared Theory to show him what kind of man he is. This was good because he was got a pretty good fiery promo on him here.
But I didn't mean
Yeah.
pop. I meant people booed. The people did not boo. But go
Right.
ahead.
Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso showed up, and Rollins told Theory, "Hey, we got company. Let's deal with this later." And Rollins and Theory started to remove their jackets once the Usos climbed the ropes, but Theory kept his jacket on to the left, leaving
That was
Rollins and
great.
facing both on his own. And they got the better of him, and then Kevin Owens' music played, and he comes down. And they
Great storytelling.
yeah, then Pierce. So basically, then their Adam Pierce comes out, and Owens and Rollins they basically challenge him to a match for later in the show. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
Owens and Rollins against us.
Yeah, this was very well done.
Becky delivers a backstage promo. She said Bailey's been playing a game of cat and mouse since she returned, and Lynch said she wants the best version of Bailey and said the best version is the solo version. Lynch spoke about their similarities. It's the difference that she did things by herself. And Lynch said if you're going to stab her in the back, then at least be the one holding the knife. She said that whether it's a one-on-one or one-on-three, she would die on her own sword. So Bailey comes out with damage control. Becky versus Bailey. What? Take a wild guess. What like if you saw the three girls out there and Becky by herself, what would you think is going to be the finish of this?
I don't know. I'm too high.
Well, distraction finish, obviously. Which
Well, that's what happened.
yeah, they distracted her. And then and Bailey came in and gave the finish from behind after she was kicking Dakota Sky. So
This was a good match because Becky got a big pop. She's wearing some sexy stuff and is in great shape. Bailey hit her with a monitor at the end and with the distraction. And that they had this one part in the match where Lynch was countering everything Bailey tried, and it was really cool. But anyways, this was a good match.
Yeah. Backstage, Rollins told Owens it had been a long time, and Owens recalled Rollins tried to steal his WrestleMania spot. Rollins acted like he didn't remember and said it wasn't him. Owens said Rollins looked marvelous, but it was him. And Owens said it's moot because tonight is about beating the hell out of the Bloodline. So then we go to the Usos versus the Bloodline. What do you call it? No interference here.
Well, there was at the end.
Well, not for the because they showed up like the OC ran out and they all fought at ringside, but they didn't really have a spot in the finish.
Right.
Austin Theory reached over and hit Rollins with the belt. In the ring, Jimmy went for a suplex, but Owens fought him off and headbutted him off the ropes, and Owens dropped down and charged Jimmy, who super kicked him and come from a near fall. This is awesome chant broke out. Jimmy went up top, and Owens avoided the move he was going for. Owens kicked Jimmy, who blocked a stunner. Owens stuffed a super kick and landed one of his own. And Owens went for a pop-up powerbomb, but Jimmy leapt over it. And Jimmy charged Owens, who ducked a clothesline, then ran the ropes and took a pop-up powerbomb for him pin. 1, 2, 3. Owens goes over. And they basically just hyped the matches for. After the match, Owens was celebrating his win when Sammy in the ring right behind him and stopped his traction. Owens spotted him. Owens removed his wrist tape, and Sammy smiled and left the ring and then jawed at Owens from the floor. Then Zayn joined the Usos and Sikoa while Grace hyped the match for the December 30th edition. And then Patrick hyped Rollins in Theory for January 2nd. And basically, they were jawing at each other as the show went black.
Bro, great match, great storytelling, great storyline progression. This was, all three things done great. Yeah. What a way to end the show.
Well, that's been our Raw review. And that was actually good. And the ratings were way up.
Yeah,
they did
both shows were good.
Yeah, they did 1.7 something, which is they usually do 1.6 against football, but 1.7 is not bad. And but Roman was on, so it's like that was a good way to start it off. You're looking, Raw's got Roman in the Bloodline on tonight. Let's watch the show. So more numbers. All right, that's been our review.
All right, enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.